Hey friend, Nicole here, and I have some food for thought to offer you. How's your heart today? Let me know in the comments. I hope you're well. Have you ever noticed how quickly a single sentence can change the way your body feels? Somebody says something kind, then maybe your shoulders just relax or soften a little bit, right? Or somebody says something harsh, and all of a sudden your chest feels tight, your whole body gets tight. Nothing in your life or circumstances necessarily changed in that moment, just the words did. I think that's so important to pay attention to because many of us as adults, we have been taught to treat words like little small things, like they're unnecessary, like just simple sounds, just language, just thoughts passing through our brains. We've all heard sticks and stones may break our bones, but words can never hurt us. No, the body and the brain, they don't treat words like that. They understand that your nervous system responds to language before logic has even have a little bit of time to show up. Before you get to analyze whether or not a statement or a sentence is reasonable or exaggerated or even true, your body has already made a decision. It's already reacted. That's crazy. Your body hears language as signals. And that's what I want to talk about today, because words are not neutral. They carry weight, they carry meaning, and they shape the emotional climate you live inside of every single day. And that's so important. So what I hope you walk away from this conversation with is a little deeper awareness, excuse me, of how language actually works in your life. We're going to look at how the brain treats words as signals, how repeated language quietly trains your nervous system, why certain phrases cause stress even when nothing is dangerous is happening currently, how words shape our emotional baseline, and how changing our language can actually change the environment inside of our minds and our bodies. None of this will be about false affirmations or faking or forcing positivity. No. This is simply about noticing how language works in our lives. So again, words carry emotional weight. Your brain doesn't categorize words as neutral data. No, it listens to words as cues that determine whether or not you are safe, threatened, supported, or even uncertain. Think about how quickly a sentence can affect you. Just think about that in your mind. For example, if someone looks at you and say, "You're doing a good job," something in your body's going to settle and relax. Maybe your breathing might slow a little bit. Maybe your mind may open. But if somebody says, "You're always messing things up," your body's not going to wait for a debate about whether or not that sentence is fair or true. No, something inside of you is going to instantly react. I love the word because scripture recognizes this emotional power of language in a very simple way. Over in Proverbs 12:25, it says, "Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad." I love the honesty of that verse. It acknowledges something that we all experience. Words can weigh on the heart. They can make the spirit feel so heavy, but a good word can lift that weight. What words are you speaking? That's the question. What words do you speak? What words do you receive in your mind? The words we speak to ourselves matters as much as the words that are spoken by others. Repetition turns our words into internal truth. This is something that most people never stop to consider. The brain is deeply shaped by repetition. If a sentence shows up often, your brain begins treating it like reliable information. It stops asking whether or not the statement is accurate and simply starts operating from that word. So if somebody repeatedly says to themselves, "I'm always behind," then guess what? Eventually that phrase is going to become the emotional backdrop of their life. Even on calm days, their nervous system is going to actively stay in a low-grade state of emergency, of urgency. Scripture also talks about this. It talks about planting and harvesting That's the planting and harvesting nature of language. Proverbs 18:21. I said it before. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Fruit grows from what? Seeds that are planted and watered and nurtured again and again and again. Our language works in a similar way. The phrases we repeat often begins to produce fruit in our emotional life, which translates into our life. These words become expectations. These expectations shape how we interpret situations. And then slowly over time, they're going to begin to shape our behaviors and our choices and our whole lived experience. So that's why paying attention to repeated language is one of the most revealing things that you can do for yourself and for others. Your body listens even when you don't. What do I mean when I say this? Many thoughtful, intelligent adults, they still dismiss their internal language with a simple explanation. Oh, they're just thoughts. How many times have you said that? But your body is not treating those thoughts as just thoughts. Your nervous system, again, is scanning for signals that tell it how to respond. It's going to listen for cues about safety and pressure and danger and responsibility and belonging. And language, again, is one of the quickest ways those signals get translated and delivered. So if your internal dialogue, let's say, sounds like this, which was something I always said to myself, I can't keep up. This is too much. I'm failing. I'm not enough. And guess what? Your brain is not going to pause to say, let me verify these sentences and see if they're true. No, it's going to react. Your breathing is going to change. We have so much anxiety. This is why our muscles tighten, our stress chemistry begins to circulate. Why? We're stressing ourselves out with our words. In James, it describes the influence of the tongue in a very vivid way. James 3:5 says, even so the tongue is a little member and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. A single spark can start a large fire. A single sentence can ignite a large emotional reaction. This is not meant to make you anxious about your words. It just meant to make you more aware, to help you understand why language deserves our careful attention. Words shape the emotional climate of your life. I'm going to have to keep saying it. Another way to think about language is imagine it as weather inside of your mind. Some words create calm conditions. Other words create storms. So if somebody constantly describes their life using phrases like overwhelming or frustrated or stressed out or impossible or hopeless, the internal weather or atmosphere of their life is going to feel heavy. And so when the circumstances are even manageable, it's still going to feel heavy. On the other hand, if someone who uses more grounded language, they may often experience more emotional balance, more emotional steadiness, not because their life is easier necessarily, but because their internal interpretation of their life is different. Another passage I love speaks to this beautifully. It's Proverbs 15:4. It says, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. That phrase, breach in the spirit, that's so powerful because it describes language that weakens the inner life. Words that erode strength, words that create cracks in the sense of our stability. But wholesome language is going to nourish life. That's what I want in my life. Wholesome language is like a tree that provides nourishment and shade for the soil. What words are you constantly speaking? I want to challenge you with that. If words can increase stress, can they also reduce it? Again, your nervous system doesn't only respond to just external events, but it's responding to how those events are described. So here's an example. There's a noticeable difference in saying, I'm drowning in work, and I have a lot on my plate today. You feel the difference? Both sentences describe responsibility, but the emotional signal they send to the brain is very different. I got to go back to the word again because it recognized this connection between words and physical well being. Over in Proverbs 16:24, it says, pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. That image is amazing to me in my mind. But words affecting the bones, words influencing the body. It reminds us again that language is not only spiritual or emotional, it is physiological as well. So here's a simple way you can begin to pay attention to the language in your life. If you want to start noticing how language shapes your internal environment, then let's begin with this. First, pay attention, be aware to the phrases you repeat most often, especially at those times where you begin to feel pressure. Those sentences usually are going to reveal the language that your nervous system hears the most. Second, you want to ask yourself curiously whether those phrases are describing reality accurately or exaggerating it, because sometimes we unknowingly intensify our stress with the language that we use. Third, experiment with adjusting your words towards clarity rather than drama, not forced positivity, but just honest, grounded language. So here's another example. Instead of saying, this is impossible, try saying, this is challenging and I'm figuring it out. That feels different, right? Can you feel the difference? Small shifts like that, seeing again, very different signals to the body. So here's something that's also worth reflecting on. Learning to steward your language is actually learning to steward your inner environment. Your body is going to listen to every sentence you repeat. Your mind is going to build meaning from the words that you choose. And over time, these words are going to begin to shape the experience of your life. So, as we conclude this conversation, I want you to sit with this question. Ask yourself, what emotional climate are your daily words creating inside of you? Are the sentences you live with creating unnecessary pressure? Or are they helping your mind and body move through life with steadiness, presence, and truth? That question, I know for me, when I ask myself that question, it opens up a level of awareness, and awareness is always the beginning of change. So what are your thoughts and your takeaways or your questions from this conversation? Please feel free to put them in the comments. I will read them and I will answer them. I hope this was food for thought for you. I hope it resonated with you in some way. Again, my name is Nicole. Thank you for being here. I'm just here to speak life and to share the power of the word. Take what you need and take good care, my friend.